Welcome everyone to this November Hangout. I can see people are joining me already. I'll just wait for a few more people to enter into the room and then we can get going. Let me tell you what we're going to be doing today. I'm continuing my theme of looking at the games of Jose Raul Capablanca, the legendary Cuban world champion from 1921 to 1927. And I've been very much enjoying going through his games. We've got a question already. How is the FIDE Grand Prix going today? Well, that's the other thing that I want to just take a very quick look at today. Thank you for cueing me perfectly. Yes, the FIDE Grand Prix has started today in Palma de Mallorca. And there are 2 spots still available for the candidates tournament in Berlin that starts in March next year. And at the moment, leading in the FIDE Grand Prix are Mamedyarov and Grishuk, Shahriar Mamedyarov from Azerbaijan, Alexander Grishuk from Russia. They're leading, but they're not playing in this final Grand Prix tournament. So that means that the players in currently 3rd and 5th, Timur Rajabov from Azerbaijan and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave from France, they have a chance to qualify if they win. Now, there might be other permutations, but I think either of those players has to win the tournament in order to overtake Mamedyarov or Grishuk in the standings. But we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And indeed, people have given the game away already. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave got off to a flying start as he defeated Boris Gelfand with the white pieces. And I would like to take a look at that game a little bit later. We have a question already. Is it true that the World Championship has come to London 2018? Well, you probably know as much as I do. Those are the rumors. We're yet to have official confirmation. I can already feel I've got a frog in my throat. Let me try and get rid of that. Okay. Before I take any more questions, I'm going to show you a position. So, as I said, the theme is Capablanca. And of course, the position I want to show you, I can't actually see. So that's a very good start. Hang on a moment while I try and switch windows. Just 1 second. There we go. That's better. Had a few tech problems last time. I hope that I'll be able to surmount those this time. Here we go. So here's your first position. And it is white play. Now you can see this is a pretty wild position. Capablanca, hang on. Hopefully you can see that okay. Has it disappeared? Might have disappeared. Can everyone see the screen okay? Can you see the board? That's an interesting question. Oh, looks like we've got a slight problem. Hang on a second. I'll try and get that back. Is the board visible? Is my question. No. Yes, no. It's back. I seem to be making a mess of it. Okay, let's try this and see what happens. Okay, some people can see it, some people can't. Can you see the board? Half, partly. It's gone to infinity. Okay, 20%. That's 20% isn't good. Okay, let me try and retrieve the situation. How's that? Yeah, that's better. Hopefully we can do something with it now. Okay, good. Here we go. So in this position, Capablanca is playing white So this is a game from 1906, played in New York. Now this is a different kind of Capablanca we're seeing in this game. He is attacking all out on Black's king, you can see here. So how did he continue? I mean, it's a completely wild position. You can see that, you know, these pawns are steaming down the board. If Kappa doesn't get it right, then he can lose this very easily. And of course, his king is somewhat exposed on this diagonal. So here is your first little puzzle. How did Kappa, white play, win this position? If you're using a computer, then don't bother writing in. If you're using your own brain, then that is absolutely fantastic. Then I look forward to hearing from you. And doesn't matter if you get it right or wrong, it's just a bit of fun. So white to play. How did Kappa win from this position? So we're seeing another side. In these first few examples, I'm going to show another side to Capablanca's play. We have a jolly good suggestion already from guest informant. Rook f5. Yeah, rook f5 was the move played. Well done. And then e3. Now what? What's the move? Yes, Blobe75 says he was rook b8 and rook f8, but he was afraid of a perpetual with queen e5. Yeah, there were problems there. And now what? Now it's not quite so simple. Yes, indeed. Rook a5. Rook b5 doesn't actually do it. Rook b5 would be a draw after queen f4 check. So you can see the queen can check here. And just, sorry, going back a move, in this position, rook c7, then queen d6 check is rather unfortunate, and we pick this up. So rook f5 played, e3, now just a second. Just bear with me, folks. Yeah, I mean, moves that, you know, you can play the rook to b5 in various ways, but it's not working, you know, here, and queen check is perpetual. So, but the move, as indicated by guest informant, well done to you, is rook a. Well, no, rook a5 doesn't work as well. Rook a5. Well, rook a5, I think you mean in the end of the variation. Guest informant says, me and Capablanca, indeed. But in this position, you play rook a7 check. This is the trick. And then rook a5. I think that's exactly what guest informant meant. Yeah, in that way, you avoid a perpetual. But it's a rather beautiful way to finish the game. And of course, that is checkmate. So there we are. Okay, let me see. Let's come back. Ah, fantastic. Last time I had a huge problem getting back to the main screen. So I'm very glad that I've managed to avoid that particular pitfall. So there we go. A nice example of Capablanca playing, well, not how everyone thinks of Capablanca. And let me show you another game. I want to kick off with some chess. So this time, this is a game from 1910. Again, played in New York. Capablanca really began his chess career in New York. He actually went to school there, and then he went to university, went to Columbia University. He dropped out, but that's when he started playing serious chess. So, okay, let me switch to the next game. Here we go. So this is played against Charles Jaffa, who I think was, one of the top players in America, but I'm not too sure about that. Onkar Chakradeo says this was bluff by Kappa, I think. Well, the finish wasn't bluff. The finish was exact. Oh, guest informant said he'd confess it wasn't his solution. Oh, right. Okay, well, that's very decent of you to come clean, guest informant. So here we go. It's a Slav. And, well, very main line. Of course, black can take here and play this extremely complicated Moran variation. But instead, black plays more conservatively with bishop d6, and these positions are fun for white to play. This is very well known. So Kappa plays exactly the right way, opening the position as quickly as possible. And now, for example, if black wants to break out with e5, excuse me, then there are problems. You can take here and you take there. Oh, Blobe says Charles Jaffe was a Belarusian American chess master, also a chess writer. Thank you. Yeah, so this is black's problem, that he can't actually break out very early here. So basically white is left with this very pleasant space advantage, and his bishop's pointed in exactly the right direction. So here's the game, knight f6, and the bishop drops back. Oh, this is Globe 75. It's giving us lots of info. Jaffa was nicknamed the Crown Prince of East Side Chess by the poet and chess master Alfred Kreimborg from Wiki. Nick Gatrell asks, why didn't Capablanca play the Sicilian or the Grunfeld? Was it due to lack of theory, or didn't want to take any risks? Well, in those days, those openings weren't very well developed at all. Particularly the Sicilian wasn't so well developed. Of course, Grunfeld introduced his opening in the 1920s, but Capablanca was more a classical player. He didn't like to fianchetto his king's bishop. He liked to play the Queen's Gambit declined with black, or sometimes the Nimzo Indian and Queen's Indian defense. Anyway, that's another story. In this position, Kappa is white, and at h6, that's a horrible move. That's a horrible move, h6, because it weakens this diagonal. So b3 and queen d3. So you can see this queen already latching onto the fact that this diagonal is weak. So let's see how the game developed. Black played g6 here, which is just compounds the error. Now, if you could magically switch that bishop around to g7, then things wouldn't be too bad, but that is easier said than done. A far better move would be to play rook e8. So g6 is a very panicky move. I think the point with rook e8 is that you give the king an escape square, and for example, in positions like this, then actually black can, well, I was going to say get away with this, but it's more than get away with this, because the king is actually completely safe on e7, and I mean, black is obviously has a good position there. But that's the point of playing rook e8, and you can still hope on a good day to perhaps bring the bishop back. But obviously, it's a pleasant position for white. But g6, now this is going to turn into a real hack after g6. Nick Gatrell says, knight h4, next move for Kappa. Let's find out. Actually, this is interesting. This is very interesting. I should say that knight h4 was not the next move for Kappa. But what is the next move? And once again, if you're using a computer, then please don't bother messaging in. But have a little think what you might like to do. But knight h4 was not the move played. Yeah, but okay, but we should examine knight h4 because rook ae1. Thanks, Gabe. Thanks, Gabe in LA. Always good to hear from you. I mean, knight h4, of course, is incredibly dangerous. I mean, in combination with these bishops, and knight h4 might simply be a very good move. I mean, after this, well, I think that can just be taken. I don't see the danger there at all. Let's come back. But knight h4 is extremely dangerous. I mean, moving the king, as was suggested, to this diagonal, I think d5 would be absolutely fatal. Just opening this up, this looks absolutely dreadful for black. So if this is taken, then knight g6. And obviously that is checkmate. So let me see. We need a good move against knight h4. I mean, am I reduced to playing an ugly move like queen e8? Perhaps I am. It's not beautiful. It's not pretty. I guess, well, after knight h4, perhaps queen c7. No, queen c7 also very ugly after d5, as this knight is on prise here. Perhaps queen e7, as the knight remains protected here. And in that way, we can defend against this by playing queen g7. But this is not pretty. You know, I don't like this position at all. After queen e7, I would be tempted just to play rook to e1 and just to say good morning to black's queen. Not a good position for black at all. So knight h4 is a very interesting move, but it wasn't the move played. Wilson Nino, greetings from Lewis, Delaware, USA. Greetings to you, Wilson. And to everyone else around the world in various places, various locations. I think this is what I always find really exciting, that so many, you know, we get viewers from every corner of the globe. It's absolutely fantastic. So we've had suggestions for white. Other suggestions, knight e5 suggested. I don't know, if knight e5, then probably just taking. And I think, although this position is obviously very pleasant for white, then it's not, well, it's not exactly what you want. It's not completely crushing. We want to crush our opponent here. I mean, black can try and survive that position, but obviously good for white, but no, we can do better. Navid Amiri Babai says, hi from Urmia in Iran. Fantastic. Apollo, nice to hear from you. And I'm glad you get something from it. Blobe75 says it's nice weather in Paris. That's great. I'll tell you, it was nice weather here as well. Beautiful autumn day. D5 has been suggested. That's interesting. I mean, I guess I'll probably just take D5. It's not the end of the world. And a suggestion for H4. Well, I have to think. You have to think when you play H4, what is actually threatened? There's no threat to advance because the knight covers this anyway. So I don't quite see the purpose. Actually, someone has suggested the move that Kappa played. Only one person has suggested it. I mean, it seems to me an obvious move is just to play rook d1 here. That looks like a good move. But Kappa played, this is very interesting. He played rook ae1. Now, how many of you actually Would have thought of that one. Well, one of you did. I can't remember who it was. You're going to have to say who it was because I can't scroll. Well, I haven't got time to scroll back, but one of you did suggest rook AE1. Now, this is very clever. I just think it's very interesting. Aki says, greetings from Finland. Freezing cold and snowing. Oh, boy. Only one way to deal with that. It was Zia Dalkirich or something. Well done, Zia. Sorry for butchering your name. It's hard to predict. I mean, guest informant says it supports knight e5. Bulant Kirker says he suggested rook fe1. Yeah. I think also many people will suggest rook fe1. Also looks very logical. So why did he play rook ae1 and not rook fe1? This I find interesting. Well, we're going to discover very soon. And rook e8 is probably the best move here, just to cover e6. And then, you know, maybe knight e5. Let's have a look. Blobe 75. He does not want to play f4. Okay, let's go back. Because in this position he played knight h5. Okay, so what is the big deal? What did Kappa play now? Wilson Nino, yes, I mentioned this at the top of the program. Have I had a chance to look at MVL's game today against Gelfand? Well, I flicked through it, and I'm very happy to look at that game a little bit later. So hold on, and I will go through that game. I just want to look at a bit of Kappa stuff. Okay, the big question is, what about rook takes e6? We should take a look. So, big question, what happens on this move? And knight f4 has to be very carefully calculated. So let's go through. So obviously queen and rook attacked. And black is the exchange up. Now, I think white has a very good compensation here. But obviously it's not so clear. So, you know, this is the problem. Black is still in the game here. But white has very good compensation. So this is the reason why rook takes e6 was not played. Kappa, I mean, this is typical of him. He didn't like to speculate. He very rarely played that kind of, well, it's a cliche, but a Tar-like sacrifice where you've got long-term positional compensation or long-term compensation. It's not his style at all. It's interesting. No one has suggested the move, the correct move yet. Well, I say the correct move. I mean, I'm sure there are many good moves in this position, but I don't see anyone that suggested Capablanca's move. And actually, after Manoj Krishna, bishop f1 is not a legal move. David Herrera says d5 looks good. d5, let me have a look. d5, I take. Queen d4, oh, not so clear. Maybe king here, king h7. Not so clear. It's not, that wasn't it. No, certainly not g4. That allows knight f4. Remember that, you know, given half a chance, black is going to play knight f4. It's interesting. No one has suggested this. I mean, this is partly why I wanted to look at this game. I think white has many good moves in this position, but, or, you know, many ways to try to attack. But no, so far, no one has come up with Kappa's move. There we go. It shows that Kappa really did think about the game in a very different way to the rest of us. It's all gone very quiet indeed. Very interesting. No one has suggested it. Okay, I'm going to play the move. It's not a spectacular move. Ah, Manoj Krishna. Yes. Now, so Manoj, I will give you that one, because you were suggesting bishop f1 for some time, and you actually meant bishop c1, of course. Yes, and now I think we can see the reason why Kappa played his A rook to e1, because I mean, this is we're splitting hairs, but it's just a bit more harmonious that we don't have the rook blocked in on a1. And now this is very, very awkward to meet. So let's go through. So knight f4, what happens here? Well, in this case, this is absolutely crushing, of course, completely crushing. So if we have to play this out, but yeah, queen here and mate. So now there's black has a problem. So king g7, and now bang, again, absolutely crushing. It's interesting how just one move transforms the position. And black really doesn't have a defense. And yeah, there's no need to retreat this. Of course, you can retreat the rook and you're a pawn up, but there's no need. Knight e5 is just very, very strong. c5, I don't think we need to. I don't need to set these as puzzle positions. And now knight f7. Maybe I should have set that last one as a puzzle position. But what I like about this is that white uses this very successfully and to destroy black's king. So there we go. So isn't that beautiful? Yes, g6 is ugly. Yes, there are many ways to proceed against that move. But rook a e1. I don't think any of you really grasped the idea of this, that the idea was to play bishop c1 to attack with that bishop. Very beautiful. Okay, let me come out of that. Hopefully we can get the picture back. Yes, we have the picture back. Fantastic. I seem to, this time, I've just about mastered the technology. I have to be very careful in saying that, because that means I'm probably going to blow things completely after that. After saying that. So I need to touch wood very quickly, touch wood. People have been asking about Maxime Vachier-Lagrave's win against Boris Gelfand. So of course I haven't had time to analyze it, but I'm very happy to go through that. So let's do that now. So just a quick recap. If Radjabov or Maxime Vachier-Lagrave win the FIDE Grand Prix tournament in Palma de Mallorca, then they will get one of the qualifying spots through to the candidates. At the moment, Mamedyarov and Grishuk lead the Grand Prix, but they can both be overtaken by Radjabov and MVL. So let me just fish up the game and I'll go through it. As I said, I haven't had a chance to analyze it at all, but sorry, I'm just sorting out a few little things here, and then we can take a look at it. Okay, let me switch boards again. So just bear with me a moment. Bharadwaj Ralabandi says Radjabov, MVL attacking players. Well, I think that's. I think that of course, they can both attack, but I think Radjabov can be a bit boring, to be honest, particularly with white. And he played a very boring game today. I think Maxime is a more interesting player. He plays in a more complex way. Okay, here we go. Hopefully you can see the screen. Okay. Bharadwaj Ralabandi asks, do I think the dragon is playable? I think it's playable at club level. I think it's extremely risky at professional level. I think that's why you don't see it very often, because basically you could be mated from the word go. But at club level, of course, it's a very good opening. So here we go. It's Maxime Vacher-Lagrave against Boris Gelfand, and it starts off as, well, an accelerated dragon. And if black wants to transpose into a normal dragon, then we can play this f3 and queen d2, etc. But Boris continues in the bottom board is cropped apparently. Okay, how's that? Is that better? Hopefully that's better. Is that better, folks? Zia, can you see okay now? Hopefully. Okay, here we go. So d5, this, good, better. d5 continues in the accelerated dragon mode. Funnily enough, Gelfand had this in Moscow 2016. He'd also had it against Adiban in the Isle of Man tournament. So Maxime came to this game fully armed, fully prepared for what was going on. I think Boris has had more successful openings, to be honest. So black wants to reclaim his extra pawn here. d6 is a very sensible move. Now, against Aparin in Moscow, Gelfand played this. But of course, in this position, this is very pleasant indeed for white. You can play for a million years. Okay, this would be an important move to match the bishop on g7. And then easy position for white to play. We can gang up on the d pawn. We can perhaps try to advance the a pawn. That's a lot of fun. So instead of that, and by the way, e takes d6. Again, bishop d4. Of course, white is always slightly better in these positions. So e6. So this is Gelfand's, well, sort of improvement. But he's obviously playing a risky game because this pawn is maintained on d6. But as I said, he has played this before. Now, in the Isle of Man tournament, played just a few weeks ago, Adiban played rook ad1, and this also looks very risky indeed for black. But Gelfand did manage to survive, just about. This was the game. Still feels as though black's position is on the edge, but Gelfand succeeded in drawing this, and here they liquidated down into a drawn rook and pawn endgame. But instead of rook ad1, Maxime played rook fd1. And the game went like this. As I said, I haven't had a chance to analyze this in any kind of detail, but it always, just looking at this, it always feels as though white maintains the advantage. So clearly, if queen takes pawn, then we pin and win. Thank you very much. So black has to suffer with this pawn on d6. Now, that covers c4, so now there's a threat to take this, so queen g3. Thing is, it's not just the pawn on d6, but there are other aspects to black's position which just feel a little bit dodgy. The king is open, a little bit open. Yes, I know that the queen can cover here, but it's just kind of one more thing. So black really didn't have time to try and gang up with queen d7 and rook d8. Zia asks, why not e takes d5 instead of bishop takes d5? The Problem is, when you play e takes d5, this is just fantastically ugly. You know, I mean, of course, I can hang on to this pawn for a bit, but actually, I mean, this is a very simple move, just knight d4, and this is always better for white. You can see this is just a massive positional advantage with the beautiful knight on d4 against that horrible bishop on b7. This is the kind of position where, you know, a pro just rubs his hands with glee, because you can play this for a million years. But I mean, there might be, instead of knight d4, as I said, queen g3 also looks very interesting, just to cover this. Beautiful position. So yes, basically e takes d5 would be like a positional capitulation. So here's the game: queen g3, queen f6, knight d4. So white can still cause trouble here. And now he's connecting through to the pawn on d6. So now Boris took en passant. I'm just wondering, as I said, I haven't had a chance to analyze this. I'm just wondering what would happen if here. Is this just incredibly strong? d7. This looks terrifying. Knight c6 is now threatened. So bishop d5 and let me see, queen d6. This looks pretty awful. Yeah, I'm at this. Well, yeah, it looks good for white. I think this must be good. And then on the next turn, we've got a move like knight c6. Baradwaj Ralabandi asks, do I accept Bitcoin payments? I do not. I accept British pounds, US dollars, and beautiful euros. If you want to donate by PayPal, you're welcome, or sign up and become a patron of the channel and you get rewards. I should say this hangout only takes place because of my loyal patrons who contribute a little something every month. So do consider it. Patreon.com. Yeah, I'm going to put it in right now before I go any further. Here we go. I'm just going to write it in on the chat. Do consider paying a little bit every month, or you could consider paying quite a lot each month. That would be even better. As I said, the only reason you guys get to see this is because my patrons pay for this channel. So you're all freeloading. Haha. Okay, let's continue with the game. So c4. Boris took. And now h4 looks like a good move. It could be that this pawn still wants to advance, but of course we give the king an escape square. Navid, you're too kind. Okay, here we go. On with the game. e5. In fact, black isn't collecting this pawn, and now this looks absolutely awful. And I'm not surprised that Boris went down from this position. The d pawn is simply too strong. I have a funny feeling this will be the last time that Boris plays this variation. If takes, then here and d7, and the pawn is going to roll through, or something's going to roll through. So this was the end of the game, and Maxime played this very, very simply. And c5, and now simple winning move, queen c4, and there is absolutely no defense to queen d5, trading queens, and then pawns just roll through. So a very convincing victory for Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, and I have to say I'm very pleased. I do hope that he qualifies for the candidates, because he has had such a good year, and I think he certainly deserves to be there. So I wish him well for the next rounds of that tournament. Blobe75 says, simple chess. Yeah, simple, elegant, powerful chess. I agree. Very good. Anjanea says, last time I joined the stream, I had to play my state tournament. Because of your suggestion of having a nice sleep, I got selected for my state and got a chance to play nationals, and he came 10th. Well, high five to Anjanea there. Congratulations. There you go. A good night's sleep. I tell you what, I need a good night's sleep. I've got a new webcam, and frankly, the quality of this webcam is too good because you can see the black rings under my eyes in very high definition. So you're not the only one who would benefit from a good night's sleep. Okay, let's look at some more Kappa. And I'm going to take you through. This is very interesting. Again, I want to show you different sides to Kappa. So let me just sort out the windows and get the right game on the screen. And this game was played by Capablanca against Alexander Alekhine, and this was, I believe, was this the first game that they played together? Yeah, I think it was the first game that they actually played against each other. So this is interesting in itself. So just let me switch boards a moment, switch screen. So let me go over to this. So as I said, this is the first, I believe, the first game that Capablanca played against Alekhine. Up until their World Championship match in 1927, in fact, Capablanca had excellent results against Alekhine. And Alekhine, that's why everyone thought that Alekhine was actually going to be dumped in the World Championship match. Shayanak Kundu says your power play series has made me a better player. Thank you so much. Shayanak, I'm really delighted to hear that. Okay, here we go. So Capablanca Alekhine, and this was played in St. Petersburg, 1913. Once again, it's a kind of Slav. But this time, Capablanca has played the knight to d2. Well, may not make a difference. I mean, one of the differences is that black is not going to play this line taking on c4 early if the knight is on c3, because in that case, the knight takes here. And so basically, white wants to get in e4 without allowing this exchange on c4, distracting the bishop. So this is certainly not a bad system at all against the Slav. And queen c2, as I said, I think e4 is quite a decent move here. There is nothing wrong with this. The bishop is better placed on e7 than on d6. Nevertheless, this is a very playable position for white. But instead of that, Kappa plays queen c2. Okay, he's just building the tension a little bit. Omkar Chakradeo says, I hate when white plays like this, and I say I should have played the Dutch. Very interesting. Do you know what? This might even be better than the Dutch. you would just introduce different kinds of problems if you played the Dutch. Yeah, it's a very solid way for white to play. And here, you know, black can still play b6, but then e4, and, well, you know, black is playing for this move, queen c7. But white is slightly better. Yami Egg says, play Blitz on Leicester. Yeah, do you know what? I really dislike playing online Blitz. I've got to say, I really dislike it. For me, it has absolutely nothing to do with chess. Okay, so Alekhine played on played d takes c4, and this brings the knight c4. So I think Kappa would already be very comfortable with the way the opening has turned out. White has more pawns in the center. Okay, so Alekhine is trying to hit back. Bharadwaj Relabandi says there are some similarities to the collar system. Absolutely, it is similar to the collar. Knight e5. It's very interesting the way Kappa plays this. You know, he's allowed himself to be saddled with an isolated d pawn. You know, you could almost imagine Capablanca playing this position with black playing against the isolated queen pawn. I think the reason that Capablanca is allowing this is that he already has such good activity with his minor pieces. And it's also not easy, let me get the color off the board, for black to develop on the queen side, because obviously b6 would allow, you know, some kind of knight c6 here, and I don't know, it feels very fishy here. Okay, so therefore knight b6 was played by Alekhine. Okay, now I want to throw it over to you. What did Kappa play in this position? Blobe75 says online rapid games are useful to test openings. I agree with that, you know, you can use blitz to test openings a little bit. But the kind of blitz that's so often played online it is great fun for many people, and that's fine, but it's not my cup of tea. Omkar Chakradeo suggests rook d1. Rook d1, not a bad move. In that case, after rook d1, probably I would just play knight d5, and I would ask, okay, what are you doing? Bharadwaj Relabandi wants to play knight g5, and so did Capablanca. That's what Kappa played. Bharadwaj, you're channeling Jose Raul Capablanca. We love that. So if h6, then boom. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the game. So therefore, g6. Okay, now here's an interesting moment. What's next? Wilson Nino says, based on your DVDs, any d4 player should start opening study with Queen's Gambit declined? No, not necessarily. If you're black, of course, I recommend the Queen's Gambit decline. But again, it's a question of taste. There are many good openings. Bharadwaj Relabandi is on a roll. He wants to play knight f7. Oh, knight h7. Everyone wants to sacrifice. Are you crazy? No, I'm afraid your connection to Kappa has just been blown, because after knight f7, rook f7, knight takes, king takes, no danger whatsoever. Nope. Knight h7, no, it doesn't work. Knight h7, I'll just take it with a knight. No big deal. Well, it's a bit of a deal, but I can live with that. You see, Shyanak Kundu says push Harry maybe. You see, everyone is thinking that pushing the h-pawn now is the answer to all your dreams. No, it's not. In this position, the knight covers h5. So here you have to, the thing is about advancing the h-pawn, and I've been a strong advocate. Anyone that knows my Power Play DVDs will know that I've been a strong advocate of advancing the h-pawn for years. But you have to know when to advance it. I think this is the point. You can't just do it in any position. Sorry, getting back to suggestions. We've got bishop e3, bishop d2 suggested. No, everyone wants to sacrifice. No, sorry, folks. Sacrificing is not gonna help you. Alan Managed wants to say king h1. Now, very interesting suggestion from Sashi247. He suggests queen d2, and I have to say, when I looked at this position, this would have been my thought as well. Queen d2. Well done, Sashi. Kappa did not play this move. However, that was my first thought in the position. And the idea is very simple. I want to put the queen on h6. Now, queen d4, not a good idea, because in this case, knight f7 would be very powerful. In this case, that's the point. We have a nice discovered check. So let me go back. So what does black do? Okay, so look, black plays a normal move, knight d5. And now here's the point. We drop the knight, and then we put our queen on h6. This is fantastically dangerous, because I'm about to slam a knight on g5. And a move like rook e8 to expel the queen, well, then f7 looks vulnerable. I wonder, let me see. I mean, this is already very, very tempting. But okay, if I want to play very simply, then perhaps this move, bishop here, and then let's just come back. And suddenly there are enormous difficulties for black in this position. I wonder whether this move wins straight away, actually. Let's just try this. Here takes bishop f8 may be a problem here. Yeah, that's not so clear. Anyway, I think the move queen d2 is a very, very interesting move. But Kappa didn't do that. I'm going to put you out of your misery. I can see we're running slightly short of time. He simply brought the knight back to f3. So this is a funny position. He played knight g5, and after g6, he came back again. He simply wants to give this bishop a square on h6. Very smart. Let's see. So king g7, bishop here. Well, here I would be tempted to play knight fd5 to trade bishops, but Alikin played here. And everything worked out fine, because now the bishop is ready to come here. Okay, Alikin has managed to trade bishops, which relieves some of the pressure. Navid Amiri, bye-bye, says queen d2, says, come on, it's hard to imagine or predict. Well, one of you suggested it, and it was my first thought in the position, because I've seen this kind of motif before. It's actually a relatively common idea. Okay, continuing with this game. Alikin has a problem because this bishop is actually not very good. So it's interesting that Kappa actually plays very positionally from this moment on, and that, you know, this knight really sort of lacks protection. Bishop e4, excellent move. So pressure here. Pressure all over the place. You know, these knights look good. This is nice pressure here on the e file and the c file as well. And basically, this is just not a nice position. Okay. Your move. What did Kappa do next? And while you're thinking about Kappa's next move, I shall answer this question. Tim Wall asks, Daniel, what's your favorite kind of chess? An all-play or Swiss team match? Let me see. I mean, I enjoy team chess, and I enjoy all-play-alls. Paul Hardy says, "Hi Daniel, sorry I'm late on holiday in Tenerife. I'm I hope you're enjoying your holiday. It sounds very nice. How's the merch sale going? Do you folks know you're offering great discounts? Christmas coming, guys." Yeah, well, the merch sale at Chessbase is over now. That was a couple of days ago. So, but the Power Play DVDs and downloads are still available and still of the highest quality. Thank you for mentioning it. Jordan Trapp asks, "Daniel, you're an E4 player, but would you ever consider making a D4, 1D4 for the attacking player Power Play DVD?" I'd rather not, but I could do, but it's not really my speciality, and I prefer to stick with what I know. Jakob Kahn. Läufer schlägt D5, Dame D5, Turm C5, natürlich. Paul Hardy. Oh, sorry, too late for the promo. Well done to Jakob. Bishop takes D5, of course, was Kappa's move, because if Queen takes D5, then Rook C5 wins a piece. And otherwise, well, Alikin had to recapture with the E-pawn. And now, positionally, this is tremendous for White, because this bishop is just a lousy piece. So now Kappa just turns on the positional, positional tap, and this is just a completely crushing position. I mean, the bishop could block here, but it's pretty ugly. I mean, you could simply trade here and gang up on the c-pawn. That's one possibility. You don't have to trade the bishop. Maybe you could play b4 first. That's a possibility. In any case, Alikin played a6. Omar Jabari suggests queen a6. You could do that, I guess. Whoops, I've managed to mess up. Hang on. Is the board back again? I think it is. Yeah. Tim Wall says there's a whole chapter in a new book on playing queen d2 to h6 with the bishop at c1, pattern recognition. Absolutely, pattern recognition. I haven't seen that book, whatever you're referring to. I just remember seeing a game by Bronstein from decades ago where he did something similar. But of course, there are many other examples. Queen a6, what would I do against that? I'd probably take it very quickly and slam my rook on c7 and say thank you very much. Other moves are available, but yeah. Improve your chess pattern recognition. Yes, I have that book actually. I just haven't read it cover to cover. But yeah, it's quite a nice book by I think Arthur Oudewaetering. I've got it in my bookshelf. Anyway, the game went a6. Let me continue with this one very quickly because I can see. That's right, Arthur van der Oudewaetering. Thank you. Yeah, it's quite a good book. I've recommended it on my channel. Well, this was now a complete rout. Capablanca absolutely in his element. Pawn up, positionally crushing, and now he goes for the king. I mean, there really is absolutely no defense. But let me go through the final moves, because now we see a nice king hunt. And Alikin plays for the gallery, basically allows himself to be checkmated. I think, do you know what? I think he had exactly this in mind. I don't think that would have happened later on in their chess careers, but at this stage, Capablanca was clearly superior to Alikin. Okay, I'm going to come out of that. Here we go. Yes, we're back again. Fantastic. Omar says that I beat you in a charity game in central London. Really? Okay. I wonder where that was. I don't know. What was the occasion? How long ago? Don't know. Anyway, so we've met before. Well, Omar, nice to make your acquaintance again. Okay. Anjanea says, sir, please come live more often because we sometimes miss your stream and then have to wait for another month. Listen, as I said before, this is only possible because of my patrons who pay for this. You know, they support this, and that's why I'm able to devote the time to preparing these Hangouts. Would you believe I do actually prepare them? Might not appear it, but I do. So if you want to support the channel and these Hangouts, then do consider stumping up on PayPal. You'll see the buttons on the Powerplay Chess YouTube channel, or supporting Patreon, or supporting the Powerplay Chess channel on patreon.com, and I've given the address. Okay, I think we'll leave it there. Thanks very much, everyone, for viewing. You can look at this one later on the channel, and look out for more Kappa games coming over the next couple of weeks. And of course, the London Chess Classic will be starting at the beginning of December with the participation of Magnus Carlsen, and I will be reporting on that every day. Okay, thanks, folks. See you later.